Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Crystal, and this is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast. And over speakerphone, I have the oh so wonderful Head Ned. You heard that right. Head Ned from the band Okilly Dokilly. And if you haven't heard them yet, I suggest jumping on board and jumping on this bandwagon. You're immensely amazing, sir. You're in a genre, a standalone genre, I might add, called Nedal. Now, that is, if everyone is familiar with The Simpsons and the Simpsons character Flanders, you guys take the Flanders persona and turn it into metal. So pretty hardcore guitaring and screaming, and yes, I remember the first time I saw one of your music videos on YouTube, I was like, what is this? They're all wearing green and pink and they all have mustaches. I thought it was going to be something ridiculous, and then you stepped up to the mic and what came out of your mouth was not what I expected in the slightest. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're back in Arizona. You were in Australia recently, out on tour there. You're back in the US now. And thank you so much for taking my call this afternoon. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for chatting with me. But yeah, we try and make some Brutalino tunes, and yeah, we just about a week ago got back from re-educating Australia. We did a couple days over there and in New Zealand. Yeah, it was a total blast. I never knew how far and wide the Simpsons had actually reached. I thought it was kind of more of an American thing, but apparently Australians also enjoy laughing at Americans. So yeah, it was great to go over there, and those are some of the big issues we played. And there was an opener. The band that we shared the stage with was called Dr. Colossus. They're a Simpsons themed doom metal band, and probably the most perfect band that we could share a stage with on the planet. So it was really great.
wonderful. Excellent. So how did you guys connect with this doom metal band? Was that done by your manager, Debbie? I know I've spoken to Debbie quite a bit back and forth through email. She's absolutely fantastic. Or did you guys reach out to them? How did that connection happen?
Yeah, well, yeah, Debbie's great. Debbie does all of our PR stuff with Adrenaline PR. But yeah, we found out about Dr. Colossus just about it was in 2015, kind of when we first started the band and put some press photos and a little demo online, and it ended up kind of going viral, and we had 20,000 Facebook likes after a week. And yeah, and in that time, somebody had brought up people were saying hey, there's another Simpsons themed band. This idea has kind of happened somewhat, and that's when I got forwarded an article or something about Dr. Colossus. And then yeah, we had done some co-interviews, and the lead singer of Dr. Colossus, Dr. John, was actually with another band touring in Phoenix about a year after that, and so I actually got to meet him in person. And so we've been kind of friends since then, but it wasn't until about 3 years later, which was now, that we managed to get over to Australia to set up a whole tour together.
Very cool, Ned. Very cool. Now, is Ned your real name?
No, my real name is. I've always kind of kept my real name hidden.
All right.
To keep the stage persona going.
Yes, you got to keep those two things separate. I completely understand. All right. Excellent. So in the whole grand scheme of things, when you think of metal, maybe Marilyn Manson comes to mind, or, the Misfits, things like that. Not Ned Flanders by any stretch of the imagination. So what led to this? What led to the persona of a bunch of Neds taking the stage?
It all kind of started with the band's name. Actually, it was our original drummer Bled Ned and I just kind of hanging out, joking around, trying to, like, we were just jokingly coming up with the worst possible band name for a death metal band. Like, you imagine, like, a big stage production, and it's something like, Rammstein or Disturbed, or, some big band goes out on the stage, and instead they're like, hi, we're the strawberry flavored yogurts, or, something just goofy. Mm-hmm. And then one of the band names we came up with was Okilly Dokilly, and from there the idea kind of sparks to, mm-hmm. Well, what if the lead singer was Ned Flanders? And they were like, what if everybody in the band was Ned Flanders? And what if it was all Ned quotes? And then when the idea hit to call the genre Nedal, we thought that was just too good of a pun to not do anything with. So we ended up kind of putting the band together. It was going to be a fun thing, and then the internet kind of took it from there.
Very cool. So Nedal has kind of found its birth through the internet. Very cool, Ned. Very, very cool. I've talked to many artists kind of across the board and spanning genres and decades even, and no one's really found their footing completely based solely on the internet, but it sounds like you guys have.
Yeah, when back in 2015, when we first kind of put the press photos and our little demo online, and just kind of shared the Facebook page around, we kind of went from just starting to kind of a like mid-level band right away. And we got so much attention, and we actually kind of took a step back after that. We took a few months to record a proper album rather than just a little house-made demo. Mm-hmm. And that album was Howdily Doodly. And we made our little music video for White Wine Spritzer for that. And when that released, it kind of went viral again. The White Wine Spritzer music video ended up on the front page of Reddit. It was trending on Facebook, and the internet kind of brought that up, and right about that time we got an offer to go on tour with two co-headlining bands, Mac Sabbath and Metalachi. Mm-hmm. And Mac Sabbath is a Black Sabbath cover band, but instead they're all dressed like the McDonald's characters, and all their songs are McDonald's themed.
What?
So,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, instead of Iron Man, it's Frying Pan. Instead of War Pigs, it's More Ribs. And the lead singer is Ronald Osborne. He's got that Ronald McDonald makeup, but he's got these crazy, like, clown wings. And they're great. And Metalachi is a heavy metal mariachi band.
Oh, wow.
Both bands are... Uh-huh. They're way entertaining, and so getting the opportunity to tour with those guys was really cool. And that was early 2017, and since then we've been constantly kind of releasing new music and touring as much as we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now I was reading a little bit before you had given me a call here. So your first album was kind of like a house-made EP. I'm assuming that one of you has a homebrew studio going on, and then you've actually just released a kind of full-length album called Slaughterhouse, if I remember correctly. How was that release for you guys? Was it really anticipated? Did the fans really want it, or was it just kind of time to put some songs down onto a record?
Slaughterhouse was a single that we did.
Oh, a single.
Just recently. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. So a couple months before Slaughterhouse, we released we've got 2 studio albums out. The first one was called Howdily Doodly, and that one came out around 2016. And then in 2019, we released Howdily Toodly, and then Slaughterhouse was actually a song that was going to be on Howdily Toodly, but I misquoted Ned. All the songs the majority of them are direct Ned quotes, and so I realized that I wrote down the quote wrong, so we had to pull the song from the record and re-record the vocals. And,
no!
Yeah. but the reception from Slaughterhouse was really good. It was cool to take that song out to Australia and play it and get a really good crowd reaction to it. And it's been high up on Spotify, and a lot of people have been hyped about it. And Slaughterhouse was probably my favorite song from our Howdily Toodly recording session. So I was pretty bummed when we had to strike it from the record, but pretty excited when we finally got it all ready and netty to go and got it released.
Ready and netty. I love it. I love it. How was your tour in Australia? I mean, was it pretty welcoming down there? I mean, Australia is pretty well known for their rock and roll. I mean, automatically I think of AC/DC. Pink, the singer, is really well received down there. Even Amanda Palmer loves touring Australia. How was Australia for you guys?
It was great. We toured mostly kind of on the East Coast. It was 5 shows total. And yeah, the crowds were really awesome. The fans were really cool. It was a lot of really great reception. When we played in Melbourne, that's the hometown of Dr. Colossus, the band that we played with. And that ended up being one of our biggest headlining crowds that we've ever played to. So yeah, it was really great, and we tacked on 2 shows in New Zealand as well. And so going over to New Zealand was it was cool too. There was a great reception over there. We just with Australia, there's a whole Simpsons episode kind of dedicated to Australia, so there were a lot of references we could pull from that. Whereas New Zealand, there wasn't a direct reference. We kind of had to change the stage show just a little bit, switching back and forth. But yeah, both it was just an incredible opportunity to go over there, and it was tiring. It was about 10 flights total to get to and from all the shows, and basically home and then back home again. But yeah, it was really great.
Yeah. And now, are you guys based in Arizona? Is that where the band got its start?
Yeah, the band's we're all kind of based in Phoenix, and our first ever show is a little venue here called the Trunk Space, and funny enough, we haven't played too terrible many shows in Phoenix, just because when we first started as a band, we got a whole bunch of attention on the internet and ended up having more fans outside of Phoenix than we did here. So we've kind of done more touring than we have played local shows. But there's definitely still a hometown feel when we played in Phoenix. And then we've gotten to play some really cool little venues that I've gone to a lot. So yeah, it's a great little city, but it's a terrible city to start a band where everybody wears sweaters. That was definitely a mistake.
I can imagine. Do you guys ever get away with wearing shorts on stage, or is that a huge no-no?
No, that's a huge cardinal foul. We've got it's got to be gray pants and the polo and the sweaters, and for a long time we've always had the idea of just taking the collar from the pink shirt and sewing it directly into the sweater rather than wearing something underneath. And everybody comes up with that idea, but nobody in the band has gone through with it, so we end up just wearing multiple layers, and that tends to be the go-to. But it's not so bad, and we've definitely played some shows in Louisiana and Texas and Florida and whatnot that add that humidity factor. And those ones have definitely been a little sweatier than any show we've played in Phoenix.
Oh no, I can just imagine. And now, Ned, how did you meet the rest of the guys in the band? I mean, did you all go to college together, high school?
So the original members, we've had a couple different Neds over the course of the band. All the original Neds were just friends of mine, people that I knew who played in different bands in Phoenix, and our drummer had been my roommate for a while. Pardon me. And yeah, so those guys really were just buddies of mine who, for some reason, agreed to dress like Ned Flanders and play metal. And after we toured for a bit, they weren't really set to be touring musicians.
Okay.
Like some of them already had kids and stuff. So I ended up continuing touring and got some new Neds who were more set to tour around. And those guys, I'd kind of say I met through just mutual connections in the Phoenix music scene. And yeah, it's all just been like friends of mine or friends of friends who all for some reason willingly agree to wear sweaters and go on stage in terrible sweaty places.
And grow mustaches and things like that. Although I will admit, there's one member of your band that also has a little beard thing going on too. So he's the exception.
Yeah, the beard is. There's only one exception for somebody having a beard, and we had to let him get away with it. His wife said that she wouldn't allow him to shave the beard, so we had to go by mod rules on that.
Yes, there you go. Mod rules out trump everybody, I think. So it even out trumps Marge.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, Ned. So you guys have been around since 2015. You have a number of albums, some singles out on there. You just wrapped up a tour in Australia. What is coming up next for you guys? More music, hitting the studio, maybe another tour?
Yeah, we've got another little tour on the horizon. We've got a tour called the When the Comet Gets Here tour.
Okay.
It's based off a song of ours, which is called When the Comet Gets Here, and it's a tour about, bringing Nedley positivity in the face of the apocalypse and the end times. And so it's kind of a, positively embracing the apocalypse type of tour, which is, more factoring, Ned and how he approaches things. But yeah, we're taking off. We've got a couple shows in Arizona in early April, and then mid-April we start in Tulsa, and we're heading all kind of along the East Coast, and then up to the Northeast and across the Midwest a bit. And we'll be touring with the band called Steak Sauce Mustache, which is kind of like a high-energy, like chaotic, like mathy rock type of thing with a really wild stage show from what I can see. So yeah, we're excited to hit the road with those guys and do our first U.S. tour this year, because we've been touring in before Australia. We were over in Europe for a little while.
Oh, wow.
So we haven't done too much in the U.S. recently.
Okay, perfect. And now, Ned, how did you guys kind of set up the tour? Was it more, the DIY approach, kind of like you reaching out to venues and sending them a press kit? Did they reach out to you? How does that work? How do you make that work?
So we've got very early on, we had done us reaching out to venues and kind of setting up shows like that. But the agent for Max Sabbath and for Metalachi, who kind of found us for that first tour, ended up kind of taking us on. So we have an agent who we kind of tell him what dates were available and when we want to tour, and then the Atomic Music Group is the agency, and then they reach out to venues and they set up the tour and kind of sell the whole thing. Yeah. And it's a great agency to be with, because they've got a lot of very cool, very goofy bands on their roster. So a lot of the venues that they work with are kind of primed for that kind of show.
Yeah, perfect. So they take care of all the press kits and everything else that needs to get sent out, right?
Yeah, yep. They kind of take care of all the, booking everything with venues, and then we've got our manager, who goes by Reverend Killjoy. He kind of sets up all advances the shows and does that. So we've got a tiny little Springfield crew that helps us make the shows happen and makes everything get as Nedal as possible.
Yeah, perfect, Ned. Perfect. Oh my goodness. This is it's hilarious, it's funny, it's great. Ned, It's absolutely wonderful. Nedal. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, like I said, I discovered you on YouTube, and then that kind of led to my search from there, and I'm like, Nedal? What's Nedal? So then, of course, I had to look that up, and then that launched me into, oh, here's your Facebook page, and here's your website, and all these other things. You definitely have a really strong internet presence, which I applaud you for. Like I said, I've spoken to so many different artists, everything from starting out playing open mics to, I'm working with the Green Day or something like that. And you definitely take the cake, sir, on the whole internet front. So applause to you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was very unexpected. So it was very cool to see. We just put a few things online, and then the internet kind of took it and spread it further and wider than we ever really thought it would go. We thought we'd play like one or two little shows at a pub or something, and be one of 7 metal bands on like a bill and have one of those illegible logos, and it would just kind of be a fun little joke that we could laugh and say we did. But we never expected the internet to take it as far as it went.
Excellent. Well, kudos to you, and as far as I can see, it's going to keep growing and expanding and going from there. So you guys are planning a U.S. tour. Where are you guys going to go? Is it more kind of a East Coast, West Coast type deal? Or are you going to snake through all 50 states? What's your plan?
It'll be mostly kind of we start out in Tulsa, and it'll be mostly Midwest. We'll form kind of a big backwards C along the eastern U.S. We head east through Nashville, and then a couple shows in South Carolina and North Carolina, and then up through Virginia, and then we'll end up I think we've got a show in Brooklyn, a show in Boston, a show in somewhere in New Jersey, and then we head kind of west from there with a show in Detroit, a show in Chicago, and then drop straight south, and the tour kind of goes through St. Louis and a couple places, and our very last 2 shows are in Austin and in Dallas, over in Texas.
And then you're jetting home.
Yep, and then from there we'll end up jetting back. But it'll be fun. We've done I think about 4 or 5 U.S. tours so far, and it's always been cool touring around the U.S. and every show ends up being a little like mini Simpsons convention. It's always cool to chat with fans and see Simpsons tattoos and kind of see how people react. So we're really excited for the tour.
Yes, perfect, Ned, and hats off to you guys for taking that ambition and going for it, and coming up with something that's completely different as well. That's absolutely wonderful, and it's wonderful to see the internet kind of take that and rocket launch it to the ethers of internet space, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So now, Head Ned is your stage persona, and you are the lead vocalist in this band. And now I've been in a couple bands up here in Duluth, and I'm, complete hats off to you, sir, to do what you do. It's a little bit screamo, it's hardcore, it's in your face. Complete hats off to you. How did you learn how to do that? Did you have to take lessons? Was it just something that you've done from an early age? I mean, to be able to sing like that and to keep singing like that for an entire set, I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I'm self-taught in all of it. It was a lot of, it was kind of just a new instrument to learn. Since I was around a teenager, I was learning instruments. Like I started playing guitar, and then picked up a bass a couple months later, and picked up a drum kit a couple months later, and got a mandolin a couple months later. And so I've always just, instead of taking one instrument and being good at it, I've just taken several instruments and tried to be okay at them. Doing metal screams. I had just been getting into metal a little bit, and it was just kind of a new instrument to try. Like I wondered how it worked, and it was a lot of just using videos online, a lot of reading about it online, a lot of practicing. And yeah, it is kind of tough to find information on like how to do like the screams and growls, because it's a very niche type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was finding information online, and then just a lot of practice. And when the band ended up getting some attention, I kind of stepped up the practice a little bit, because I knew I'd have to take this kind of hobby of screaming into doing it on stage in front of a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot like regular vocals, where you kind of got to do warm ups and take care not to completely destroy your voice, which is easy to do.
Right.
But yeah, it's totally possible, as long as you're doing vocal warm ups and you're using the right technique instead of actually yelling, which would blow out your voice in a couple minutes. It's kind of a back of the throat type of thing. But yeah, it's just a fun thing to learn how to do that inadvertently turned into a career.
Very cool. Now, Ned, has this recently turned into a full-time career for you? Is it a full-time career for the rest of the band?
It is. So about last year, about a little over half the year, it was our full-time thing. When we're touring, it's kind of most of what we do, and then outside of that, like, everybody has kind of side jobs they take up. Our synth player runs sound at venues, and our drummer teaches classes and runs some festivals and things. And I do like side accounting work. I was working in accounting before I started the band, so it's kind of funny to go from on tour in front of people, and there's mosh pits and all that, and then I'll get back home and log on the internet and do some accounting work. But it makes for a nice juxtaposition of, like, the high energy stuff, and then the calm, relaxing work for a little while.
Yeah, excellent, Ned, excellent. And as polar opposite as that sounds, it almost kind of fits, because I can just envision you in your Nedness, crunching numbers at the computer. I kind of imagine that that's what Mr. Flanders actually does for his job too, so it fits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, Ned, if somebody's interested in getting a hold of the band, maybe for booking you guys, if they want to hear your music, if they want to see what you're up to, see where your tour's going, how can they do that?
So okillydokilly.com is the best place to go. That's our main website. It's got all our contact info and everything on there. The band is reachable via nose news at okillydokilly.com, or any message through our Facebook page or through our Instagram, or any email on there, whatnot. All kind of goes to our manager, Reverend Killjoy. And then he can help from there. And then that's got all our tour dates, our little merch store. We call it our online leftorium. And yeah, all the music videos and links to all our music. So okillydokilly.com is a good hub to kind of go and branch out from there.
Yeah, excellent, Ned, excellent. And then before I let you go, can we jump into kind of lyrically how you guys come up with that? I mean, is it, do you guys obviously watch a lot of The Simpsons? I can imagine. Do you pull a lot from what Ned Flanders says? I mean, is that part of it? Is the other part just your own experiences? How do you come up with your lyrics?
Yeah, so I'd say about 95% of all our lyrics are just direct Ned Flanders quotes. Just kind of either taken from something that he says. The only exceptions are some early songs where the band was still in development a little bit, and we didn't know if it was going to be all Ned Flanders quotes. We've got a song, All That Is Left, that's kind of an ode to his leftorium, which kind of steps outside the Flanders quotes. And then sometimes we incorporate some quotes from other characters who are in conversation with Ned. So a couple like Rod and Todd and Maud quotes slip in. But yeah, it was the first record that we wrote was just kind of a lot of quotes that I had already knew that I wanted to turn songs into, some of the more like well-known quotes like "nothing at all" and "white wine spritzer" kind of came from that. And then for a second record, I actually sat down and watched the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons over the course of about a month and just wrote down every quote I could, and ended up writing about 20 songs based off of that. And then as we went into the studio and as we recorded them, we kind of narrowed them down to the ones that ended up on the record. So there were kind of two different processes to gathering the Ned quotes for writing songs for the records.
Excellent, Ned. And now, are you guys thinking about incorporating any other Simpsons characters into your repertoire, or is it kind of just strictly focused on Ned Flanders?
For now, we've been strictly focused on Ned. We have had a couple of people dress like different Simpsons characters at shows. We had like a Homer in Australia, and we've had the Sideshow Bob and Otto and Rod and Todd and all this stuff, which is fun to see. But as far as what the band pumps out, we're likely going to just stick to Ned for the whole lifetime of the band.
All right. Wonderful, Ned. Excellent to hear, sir. Well, ahead, Ned, thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon. Welcome back to the States. You guys just wrapped up a tour in Australia and New Zealand, which was very welcomed from what I was reading and what you said. I wish you guys luck on your U.S. tour that's coming up. If anybody's interested, this is Okilly, Dokilly. And head Ned, you are the lead vocalist for that band. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your day to talk to me.
Yeah, thanks so much, Crystal.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.